But how about a young writer who wants to become a writer or a young poet? What is their path? I think creativity is one of the things that will remain human-centered.
Sherine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Antoine, for inviting me.
Sherine, we're here to talk about Rowayat, and I want you to take us back to the moment it started. First of all, what does Rowayat mean for our English listeners, and how did you get started?
So Rowayat means stories, and um, and it's all types of stories, right? That's what it includes for us. It includes poetry, it includes nonfiction, it includes interviews, book reviews. And it started over 10 years ago as a actual like printed literary journal that because we were very counterculture and we wanted to tell people go take take a royette and go sit under a tree and, disconnect from the internet and read something. And it was a way to connect the diaspora to the Arab world by having English readers. So we would translate things. If we received things in Arabic, we would translate them ourselves. Or, of course, Arab writers across the world, they write in English and French, and so they could also submit in whatever language they wanted. So,
You talk about connecting the diaspora to the region. So tell me, what kind of stories are we talking about here?
well, it's everything, right? It's from lived experience to fiction to, whatever the imagination brings. And what what is unique, I think, is that obviously it's centered from our region, but it's each issue has a theme. So, but the theme is broad enough to sort of encompass lots of different takes on it. And usually the managing editor of the issue will choose the theme and will give like either like a prompt or their understanding of what it means. Um, and people will submit accordingly. And not everything is like, it doesn't have to be like head on the theme, but it encompasses a lot more. I think I remember one of our editors, she had chosen joy, and she had said like whether joy in a bowl of ice cream or joy in the people you love, just whatever your take of joy is, or even like the opposite of joy, or or missing someone, or the joy of missing someone. So you can really play around with a theme, and it's what's really important, I think, about a literary magazine is that it helps young writers, right? Like established writers already have either their books published or they have an agent, but how about a young writer who wants to become a writer or a young poet? What is their path? Well, this is their path, right? They start off with a small poem or two, or a short story, or an interview or a book review, and that gets them excited about the possibility of having a career in literature.
Do you feel like the new generation is as excited as people used to be? Because right now we talk about people having a very short attention span and people always being on social media. Do you feel like this is dying out in terms of young people wanting to express themselves in their own words?
No, I don't think it's dying out. I think, to the contrary, people are finding the need to express themselves more, and the need to find the words, and the need to find the community and the platform where, oh my God, this is how I feel too. Or this is, we are also in an age of loneliness, of depression, of desensitization, of lack of community. So literature does all those things. It unites, it creates bonds, it overcomes loneliness. You start to feel, and as someone who had lived in Canada, as a child, I felt very isolated. And I didn't, but books were what, helped me, and especially like anthologies of Arab Canadians are what, oh my God, there is a community out there. I don't know, I don't know them yet, but they exist somewhere. And so that kind of thread of hope is really important, I think, for young people.
I think the depth of what you're saying is quite interesting. The loneliness, the lack of community. I mean, as someone who's lived abroad for a long period of my life, I understand exactly what you mean. Sometimes it feels like no matter where you go, even if you spend years, it just doesn't quite feel like home. And
Mm.
so reading about it might actually make you feel better.
Mm. Yeah, and it doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you feel connected and it makes you find friends and the thing about being in the diaspora, whether Canada or the US or even Europe or even the GCC, you're spread out and you're not, it's not like, Beirut or Lebanon, everyone's like really close by. You can just pass by each other. And also, I think the work toll has become so hard on everyone that everyone's so tired that there isn't time for that community and that engagement. And we need that. We're social beings. And so to find this community and to express yourself and connect and be able to connect with readers and writers, then it helps you. It helps you find your place in the world, understand how you're feeling, um, understand that it's, this, I'm not going through this alone.
Mhm.
This is actually, a lot of people have felt this way.
Shirin, obviously everything you're saying it's makes total sense to me. But as a data guy, I need to ask you, do you have a way to measure the impact of what you're putting out there? Do you have a way to see if you're getting more um, varied type of listeners, the demographics of people who are looking into Rowayat? Do you look at this data?
Yeah, obviously that is part of it. And so, because we are now online and we're no longer in print, so that has expanded our reach. And although we were distributed like through Ingram, so we were in Barnes and Nobles when we first started and in bookstores around the world, but also like who's going to go to a bookstore and look for a magazine, that kind of thing sort of died out. And so being on the internet and being free access without any paywalls was really great for us because it did expand our reach. We see our analytics each time. We've expanded that we're not just the Swana region, but we're also interested in Global South because we all have these same kind of oppressive, world that is sort of affecting our life. And so now we're able to look at the analytics. We're able to have obviously a lot more people reach out. So we've had editorial assistants from Nigeria, from Brazil, from like Sri Lanka, from the US, from India. Um, and we work together and that obviously gets different readers and different writers. And when I, receive an amazing short story from Kazakhstan or from, someplace really who doesn't get a platform, our editors are constantly like, wow, this is amazing. We're so happy that we were able, this is one of the like the best things about the internet is that if you have a connection, you can just reach out and send something. And so that's been really great. That's been really great. So we've seen, And each time we open for submissions, we've gotten more submissions than the time before. So we're constantly growing. So that gives us an idea also of how we're doing.
So you're talking about the internet and the progress and how things have changed from how they were. But a lot has changed. Right now, there's AI that's taken over, and we have to talk about it. So right now,
Yeah.
you can just mention something in a language model, and it's going to spit out an entire book if you want it.
Yeah.
So how do we differentiate between real living experience, something that's genuine, versus something that's just created by a machine?
It's difficult, right? Like this is definitely the challenge that we're at. And I think um, a lot of like we have on our contributors agreement, like a no AI policy, it's a statement on our website that anything that a contributor like sends has to be authentic and written by them and um, you know, and all the details. Can we be fooled? Probably. But yani, I would like to say that our editors and I feel, and again, this is how I feel today. Will I feel this way after AI, becomes 20 times better? I don't know. But today, I feel I can tell automatically when something is written by a human versus AI. There is a certain emotional quality and structure and whether there it shows when it's AI and and I think at the end of the day, let's say someone does submit not to us or to anyone, a book or a poem or whatever. What do they gain by having AI write them a book or a poem? Right? It's not exactly the most glamorous job or high-paying job or, it isn't. So it is, I think creativity is one of the things that will remain human-centered because it doesn't lead to that much, money or fame or, who knows um, off the top of your head, like the best-selling authors or the best-selling poets in the world today. I mean, it really is a niche that's left for humans, which is really great, I think. Um, yeah, I think that, there's nothing like picking up a book or a poem and by someone and finding like a lost friend from 100 years ago or from 50 years ago. And I think that'll continue.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, as someone who works in AI, I can tell you that today is the perfection of AI makes it inhuman. You know what I mean? Like it's when it's too good, it feels soulless. It feels
Yeah.
wrong. So it is gonna take a while before you can imitate real human emotions and actually connect to it. Um, but I want to talk a bit about you now, something a bit more personal. You've been doing this for a long time. What has been the most challenging part so far?
The funding, right? I think
Yeah.
um, the funding is very tricky for all arts and literary organizations. Even in Canada, it's much better, of course, than in the Arab countries. I mean Arab countries by Egypt. I think GCC are much better in funding culture, um, but in Canada, even the grants, they'll say, how many Canadians are you publishing? Like how many, it's all national related so that the funds go, so it's very specific. And so if you want to have an organization like ours, that is more inclusive and more expansive, it becomes really like the niche of grants that you can apply to and that you sort of qualify for become less and less. Um, and especially in this day and era, like the so, and you're competing with so many other arts organizations that are doing similar things. So you have to be very creative also in your fundraising schemes and coming up with ideas, with membership, with competitions. These are things that can help you. I'm very much against having ads on the website. This is what some other, literary organizations have done. So it's hard. It's not easy. It's the biggest challenge. But every now and again when I think, okay, this is like the 10th grant and I'm still gonna get rejection, then it happens. Or like we hear of a last minute fund that has, like the grants have cutoff dates and they suddenly have money that hasn't been spent. And they're like, oh, do you have a project that you can submit like right now? And it's
Yeah.
like, we always have projects, like we have more dreams than the grants out there, I think. So we pull out one of our dreams and it comes through and we're able to push through another year. But it's always like, um, you know, uh, you're always at the edge. And I think one of the things I've been thinking about for a very long time, and I think more and more I've been talking about it this year, is like maybe I'll open a bookstore / coffee shop that, where we can actually have a physical presence, which can then fund the literary organization. And so then one rolls into the other. Both are nonprofits, of course, like but that's one of the ideas.
Hearing you talk about this, I gotta ask you. I mean, I'll close with this, Shirin. What keeps you going? I mean, it's been a decade. You're still, you're extremely well educated. You've done quite well. So why do you keep pushing to make this bigger and bigger? What keeps you going?
It's the writers, right? Like I'm here to serve the writers. And when I connect with a writer in California who's like in a suburb and has written, her soul into this, and literally I'm crying while editing because it has moved me so much. And we speak on our editorial board, and I pass it along. Okay, what do you think of these edits? Yes, yes. And we polish it and we send it back. And the writer says, you've changed my life, or this has meant so much to me. Um, this is my, or getting an email like, this is my first poem published ever. These things, no matter like how much money in the world this is for me, like this means the world to me. It's my purpose. Like this is what I'm here for. Like I didn't realize I could be a writer when I was their age. I read like Anne of Green Gables and and they were all white people in the bookstore, in schools and things. So I didn't think that I could be a writer. It took me a very long time to figure out I could be a writer in English, because I thought, okay, I don't write in Arabic, so I'm fluent in Arabic, but my imagination is in English, and so I like being able to give that path to young people, and then connecting them to established writers too, like through book reviews and through interviews, and with, look at these poets, they've done really well. Look at this, they actually work as poets, they go to festivals, and so they're able, so having that bridge between the young people, like being the first person we publish, and then for them to see in the same issue that they're being published, this other writer who's also Arab, who's also similar, but that's like award-winning and established and living as a writer. So they can see a path.
Sherine, thank you so much for doing this. It was really fascinating talking to you.
Thank you, Antoine. It was a pleasure.